Hello and welcome to this lesson about finding the volume of rectangular prisms. The learning target of this lesson is being able to calculate the volume of a rectangular prism. Now when I'm saying a rectangular prism, I'm talking about a shape that looks something like this, where one side of it is a rectangle, and then the other sides may be rectangles, they might be squares, but it is a 3D shape, and so it looks something like this. And this is a great introduction into finding the volume of a three-dimensional shape. And anytime we're talking about volume, we're talking about the space needed to store this, how much space something is taking up. That is something's volume. So first, I want to go over a core idea with volume. It's not too relevant for this, but it's to set the stage for more advanced things later down the road. And that core idea is that volume is equal to a base area times another dimension. And we'll just, for the sake of argument, say height. So for example, if we take a look at a rectangular prism, oops, let me draw it better than that. The volume of this rectangular prism is going to be this area, this base area, times this height right here. And so we're essentially asking, how many of those areas can we fit in this height? And the same idea can be twisted and altered just a little bit to where now we take this side and we call it our base. And again, we're wondering how many of these rectangles can we fit within this height right here. So even though I put height, it really is just another dimension. Now, what we really need to know and what we really need to understand for the volume of a rectangular prism is that its volume is equal to length times width times height. And that's why I wanted to draw that image. So this yellow area that I'm now outlining in green, this can be found by, let's just call it width times height. And then this other dimension, how many of those we could fit, that's length. So we can kind of see how this works, how we get to measure the volume of a three-dimensional shape. And so for finding the volume of rectangular prisms, it boils down to multiplying three things together. So let's just, for example, put some numbers on it now. Let's say this was a 2 by 5 by 8. All right? If those were the dimensions, our volume is going to be equal to 2 times 5 times 8. The order in which you put those doesn't really matter. You just have to put them there together. 2 times 5 is 10 times 8, and then 10 times 8 is 80. And then it's going to be in units cubed. All right, so since we're talking about three dimensions, the exponent on our answer will be 3 instead of 2. So let's take a look at a couple of examples, and then that will be it. So I like this because you get two different looks. In number 2 here, you get to see it comes with a picture. The picture definitely helps us visualize what's going on. But in order to find the volume, all we have to do is multiply things together. So 7.5 times 4 times 2.5. Now, they're fractions here. In order to multiply these fractions, I'm going to recommend you make them improper fractions. So 7.5 becomes 14, and then plus 1, 15 over 2, times 4 over 1, times, and then 2 times 2 is 4, add it to the 1, that's going to give us 5 over 2. Unfortunately here, the fractions work out nicely. We'll see that they don't always work out nicely, but in this case they do, because the 4 is going to cancel out with these two 2's, leaving us with a 1 here, and the only thing that's actually getting multiplied is the 15 and the 5. So our volume is going to be equal to 70 inches cubed. We box it, walk away. Now, for number 3, here we're not given an actual picture, and that's okay. If you want to, you could draw a quick one and label it. Definitely wouldn't hurt to do that, especially if you're more of a visual type person. So you can go 3, 3.5, and 5 1/4, just so that way you see it. But the math that we have to do is multiply. So volume is equal to 5 1/4 times 3 1/2 times 3. Again, I'm going to convert these to improper fractions. So I will get 21 over 4 times, let's see here, 7 over 2 and 3 over 1. 3 over 1. Now here, our fractions aren't going to be able to reduce, unfortunately. Oh well, we can manage. All right, so what I'm going to do, work with numbers that are a little smaller first. I'm going to go 7 times 3. And that's going to, so I'll have 21 over 4 still. And then 7 over 3 is 21. And that's going to be over 2. 2 times 1. All right, now off to the side, I'm going to do a little scratch work. What's 21 times 21? And when I do that, I'll get 21 here, 0, and then I'll get 2 and 4 for 441. Yep, 441. And so that ends up equaling 441 over 8, 2 times 4. Now, if I wanted to, I could leave this as an improper fraction and just call it good. Or I could make it a mixed number. And if I make it a mixed number, my final answer will be 55 and 1/8. 1/8. There we go. And check our units. Inches, so that would be inches cubed. So in a nutshell, that's how we find the volume of a rectangular prism. We just realized that we have to multiply all those 3 dimensions together, and that's it. If you have any questions, let me know. Otherwise, good luck on your homework.